Welcome to Castle Hill and welcome to all who are tuning in to listen to us this week. Let's take time to reflect and pray about the times we're going through just now. Loving God, sometimes it feels there is no place to rest, nowhere to hide from the constancy of anxiety, no place to go where we cannot think beyond the moment, as if we are responsible for the whole future. And we should already know what it's like and how to respond. Sometimes it feels time just needs to stop for a moment, long enough for us to draw breath, and not feel you are walking into another thing that makes you feel unsafe and uncertain. And now the pressure of Christmas, the way it cannot bring the familiarity this year, the escape from COVID that we hoped it might. And then we revisit the constant worry about those who are hit so hard by this pandemic and Brexit, whose jobs have gone, who are hardly able to provide food, while we are thinking about booking the next supermarket home delivery slot. Can we ever step out of that? Where is your permission to hit the pause button, O God, when others can't pause their hunger, their worry between a prescription or a meal, their fragile and vulnerable lives? There you go, God, it's out there. All this constancy of muddling through, where everything feels uncertain and temporary, except it isn't. Not for all the lives changed from politics shaped without compassion, and a pandemic that is worst for the poorest. May we find a change of mind and attitude as we find rest, but only after those closest to you, the last and the least, find their rest. So be it. One of the anniversaries overlooked a bit this year is that of Coronation Street, which has been on the go for 60 years. And no, I can't remember right back to the beginning, but personally I lost interest in it when Ina Sharples dropped out. EastEnders came to prominence this week with the death following dementia of Barbara Windsor. And the clips shown reminded me, and you'll know, that in the world of soap, nobody has to wait for very long at all for anything. Nobody ever has anything as unglamorous as the sort of illness that requires 12 weeks or more spent on a hospital waiting list. All illnesses are emergencies and dealt with immediately. Nobody has to queue in the corner shop or at the garage. Nobody has to wait long between partners. You can be broken-hearted and inconsolable in one episode and beginning a new relationship in the next. Nobody grieves for long either. Mourning never takes the toll it takes in real life, and within not many episodes, a new beginning is already in evidence. So while soaps go on for many years, in fact, the pace of soap life is very fast. In real life, we all know we have to wait. In a very interesting article about Advent, a man called David Lawrence confesses he's one of those people who prefers to wait until Christmas Eve before beginning to celebrate Christmas. He hates it that shops put up their decorations so early and most people are fed up with Christmas before it's even begun. He moans that the magic of the quiet waiting season of Advent has gone, submerged under a strange and messy mixture of desperate over-preparation and equally desperate celebration. No one knows how to wait anymore, how to use the time before Christmas as a preparation for it, and the time after as a celebration of it. The quiet, waiting season of Advent has gone. He ends his article by saying, so happy Christmas, but really not just yet. Or as the prophet Jeremiah puts it, wait, says the Lord. But why should we wait? I learned from a friend who runs a local garden centre that their entire stock of Christmas trees was sold out by the beginning of December this year. Normally it lasts until at least this weekend, or some years until Christmas Eve. But people don't want to wait this year for the lights of Christmas. If something is good, why not have it now? If we are to learn our humanity at all from children, as the Bible suggests, don't we learn from them the desire not to wait at all, but have whatever we want now? Children still sing to the tune of "O come all ye faithful, why are we waiting?" So why do we have to wait for anything? For happiness, for new beginnings, for Christmas? Why do the poor have to wait for debt to be relieved or the world to be different? Why do we ask this weekend, do the oppressed have to wait to gain human rights, to be set free? A book that I'll mention often because I think it has a lot of wisdom in it, it's called The Road Less Travelled. M. Scott Peck offers the ability to wait as a fundamental key to a happy and successful life. He calls it delaying gratification. He tells the story of a woman who was desperately unhappy at her work. She was unhappy because she always did the bits of work she liked first and left the more disagreeable bits to the end, even put off doing them with disastrous results. He asked her if she liked cake, and she said yes. He asked, which bit of the cake do you like? And she said, the icing is what I like best. And then he asked which bit of the cake she ate first. She replied, the icing, of course. And he realised that her work patterns were just the same. And so he persuaded her to change them, to get the less pleasant tasks done first, and then to enjoy the rest of her job, to save the icing till the last. This is a kind of waiting. He says, delaying gratification is a process of scheduling the pain and pleasure of life in such a way as to enhance the pleasure by meeting and experiencing the pain first and getting it over with. It is the only decent way to live. We have to learn to leave the best wine to last, to save up pleasures so that we can be disciplined about enduring the pain of life. We learn that it will do us good to wait. All well and good. I'm not sure it's quite the same thing as Advent offers or promises. It does speak well into lives that are ordered and well-resourced enough to mean you can choose how to schedule your pain. But what about lives much less rich in things or choices? I've still got vivid pictures of the sight of old Christmas trees and entire houses decorated with all colours of lights in competition almost, that appear in the poorest places of our land in early November and onwards. These are often people who would buy extravagant Christmas presents by using catalogues and credit, who would want to make Christmas last as long as possible in both directions as an escapism. No grim waiting there at all. No delaying gratification, if any could be found. And really, who could blame them? In the lives of the poor, there is already too much waiting and delay. So what do we mean of Advent waiting? Advent is not simply a time for discipline or for making yourself wait in order that the pleasure of Christmas is enhanced. It's a time for reflecting on the parts of the life of faith and of human life, which are inevitably and sometimes sadly about waiting and longing. It's a time for being with, for accompanying those who must wait, whatever they would choose to do, as they wait for better days to come. It's a time for recognising in prayer and in living that life isn't like soap, that there are in any pattern of a human life long stretches of time which have to be taken up with waiting and more waiting and being patient and hoping that better days will come. So a student struggles with difficult and demanding courses, learning at a distance, having longer than expected holidays, holding out the hope still of a fulfilling and useful career at the end of it. Mother lives through years of very young children, sustained by the hope that these tiny creatures who keep her awake will end up as good and pleasant people. A man has thrust upon him redundancy or unemployment. It has to learn to wait for life to find shape and purpose again, and for new jobs to appear. Someone endures illness with patience, hoping and waiting for healing, or waiting for diagnosis and treatment because of the current limitations. Others endure pain and sickness, accepting the prospect of death and hoping for opportunities to live life to the full in the world while they can, and to be with God in eternity when earthly life ends. And someone endures grief, long years of grief, trying to process it and not to lose hope in any kind of future. Every human life includes deep periods of waiting, of not knowing what the future will be, of patience and of endurance. It can be all too easy for people to think that faith is about the highlights of life, the crises, the dramas, the festivals and the excitements. But the most of anyone's life is lived in the ordinary days and in the waiting times, between the dramas. It's the way we live in these parts of our lives which will prepare us for the rest. It's the daily round, the day by day, the short steps, while nothing much is happening, that we discover who we really are and who we can become. And into these times of waiting, God's blessing comes to us as a promise of future hope, but also as a continuing and welcome presence, accompanying us when the journey of life is slow and ordinary and nothing much seems to be happening or even to be hoped for. God is not just for Christmas, but for every day. And if God asks us to be patient, to wait, to be vigilant, to be prayerful each day, then remember too the patience of God. God will not give up on us. God will wait patiently with us until you and I are ready. God will wait patiently to redeem the earth. We are still waiting, and God still waits with us. So let's use this time of Advent to wait upon God, to pray each day that we will grow in faith, endure with strength, and live in hope. Wait, says the Lord. For those who can rest this weekend and shift out of daily routines, may you be able to do so. For those who have to work to make up for weeks of closures, may you find the energy to do so. And for a culture rushing towards Christmas and the longing buried deep within, in all the wrong ways, may we all find the promise that will set us free. Go in peace, live in hope, and share love this week. Stay safe and take care in all that you do. Thank you.